ICT Summit Röportajı Bilişim Zirvesi 2012 etkinliğindeyiz ve yanımızda araştırmacı, yazar, düşünür Charles Eisenstein var. Charles Eisenstein, Bilişim Zirvesi etkinliğinin ana kat konuşmacılarından biriydi ve yaptığı konuşmayla gerçekten de insanların ufkunu açan, ekonomi konusunda, yeni ekonomik modeller konusunda düşüncelerini alt üst eden bir konuşmaya imza attı. Bu konuşmayla ilgili olarak kendisine sorduğumuz sorularla konuyu biraz daha detaylandırmaya çalışacağız. Mr. Eisenstein, thank you very much for being us with here. In your presentation, you have talked about the very interesting subjects about the new kind of economy. So my first question is, why the current economic models have some problems about the sustainability, and what's your solution proposition about that?
Yeah, the current economic model makes sustainability impossible because our current economic system only works if there's economic growth, and there has to be growth forever. But we live on a finite planet. There can't be growth forever on a finite planet. So sooner or later there's going to be a problem. And we're facing that problem right now because to continue growth is going to destroy the basis of civilization on Earth. That's why we need a different kind of economic system that doesn't require endless growth in order to survive.
Mm-hmm. So can you just give us some details about the economic model that has in your mind?
Well, it has a lot of different aspects. One thing that it has to do is it has to become more local because today the economic system puts everybody in competition with everybody else across the globe. One thing that it does is it bankrupts local farmers and it disconnects people from the land. So economies have to become more local. Another thing that we have to do is to end the dominance of interest or usury on money. Today, the money system is based on interest and based on debt. And so in my book, I talk about some of the details of how to do that. Interestingly, in Islamic finance, there are some ideas that are very close to the ideas that I write about. Another thing that we need to do is to align money with ecological well-being so that taxation, for example, taxes should be on pollution and resource extraction, not on income and sales. So there's many details, but the basic idea is to make economy part of ecology and not the enemy of ecology.
Mm-hmm. So you are going to put the ecology in front, and you offer that the new kind of economy has to be about not competition; it's going to be a collaboration, right?
Yeah, it'll be much more collaborative. And that doesn't mean that there will be no competition. Of course, there will still be competition. But competition can play a secondary role because really we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And we're beginning to understand that the well-being of another person, the well-being of another society, the well-being of other species, that's our well-being too. Mm-hmm. We're all connected. So really, it's an economy of connection. Yeah.
You said in your presentation that the technology is promising us to not to work very hard because the machines and the computers are going to do the most of the job. But you said that in the end we end up with working maybe much longer hours than the previous times that the technology has not emerged this much. So why this kind of world has become happen even for the promises of the technology?
Yeah, isn't that strange how we're working harder and harder even though we have more and more labor-saving devices? Probably even in Turkey, who's busier? Somebody in Istanbul or somebody in a traditional village in the countryside? Who's busier? Probably it's the person in Istanbul, the person in the modern city, who has all of the technology, all of the devices, but why are they busier? And this has been a paradox for hundreds of years. And there's an economic reason why, which is that our system demands growth, which means that you have to consume. As a society, we have to consume more and more and more. And so that's what's happened. We've created a system where we always consume more rather than working less. And when we can't consume any more, then there's a problem because then we have to start working less. But we don't have a system to pay people. you only get paid if you're employed. So then we have lots of unemployment. I mean, in a way, we are working less, but we call it unemployment. But there's no way to meet the needs of people who don't have jobs. So that's another thing that we need to change, perhaps through a universal basic income, which is a concept that's becoming very popular. And it basically means that everybody in society gets a certain amount of money annually just for being a citizen, which allows the promise of wealth. Like, we have so much wealth, but it's not shared equally. Some people are left out. But in theory, everybody could enjoy abundance today.
Thank you very much. And if your vision will become true, what kind of future do you expect in the long term? When the cycles start over?
It's not another boom and bust cycle. It's not another. My vision isn't to say, okay, let's find a way to grow the economy again, and then it will end in another recession, and then another growth, and then another recession. That's not how it is. It's a different state of an economy that's eventually a steady state, so that it doesn't need to grow anymore. And in that economy, we will have the experience of abundance, the abundance that's already under the surface. I mean, today there should be abundance. Half the world wastes enough food to feed the other half. There's plenty of food, but there's hunger all over the world. But it's not because of a lack of food, it's because of a lack of money. But money is something that human beings create. So why is there a lack of it when we can just create it? And these are like really deep questions that economists could talk about for a long time, but common sense tells us that we should be able to have abundance. So the future economy, and I'm not saying this will happen right away, and I think that things will get worse before they get better. But eventually we'll have an economy where when you are thinking, what work do I want to do? You will not think, how can I make a living? You will think, what is my gift? And what do I want to create in this world? And I think that best explains the experience of living in the future economy.
And it just reminds me that it's something like an open source economy in the computer industry, right?
Yes.
Some kind of very talented computer programmers are just getting together, making some very advanced programs or advanced operating systems, and they are doing it for nothing.
Yep. Yeah, I think the open source movement is a glimpse of the future. Because, I mean, I don't use any proprietary software. I use all open source software, and it's just as good, if not better, than the proprietary software. And so this is already kind of a gift economy that's beginning to emerge, where we don't even need as much money as we used to. The more people share, the more everybody can share. Because if people are giving me things, then I don't need to make so much money. So I don't have to work as hard. So I can give more things to them too.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers.
Yeah. Thanks. It's my pleasure.
ICT Summit Eurasia Bilişim Zirvesi 2012'de konuğumuz Charles Eisenstein'dı.